We live. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? We live with Mr. Judge Joe Brown. What do you want to be called, Mr. Judge Joe Brown?
Mr. is redundant. That's like
That's what I was about to say.
But anyway, I got elected my second 8-year term, so the governor sent me this certificate saying, "Congratulations, you judge for the rest of your life." As a title. I guess that's like Colonel, but I'm not cooking fried chicken. You know, barbecue got a new barbecue line, but Judge Joe worked right.
Okay.
That's my performing name. Years ago, when SAG-AFTRA wanted to get me on board, I had to pick one. I couldn't pick my name, but they said Judge Joe will do fine, Judge Joe Brown. So that's me. Official title and performing title, and you know.
Well, welcome. Well, we gonna get right into it. I mean, I don't know if you've been abreast of what's going on with me. I started with a little misunderstanding with a former teammate and then a peer that I don't know really that good with Matt Barnes. I call him Becky with the good hair. But he invited me to his man parts after a simple disagreement that I tried to get them to correct behind the scenes. But, you know, if you understand how these gentlemen think, they're a little bit immature. So I brought you on.
You want to put childish?
Yeah. So I call them the go along, get along gang. So, and since I've been called, I like that mug.
I have a few of these.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Since I called them the go along, get along gang, I've been doxxed like no other. My family history has come out on the Breakfast Club. Jamel Hill has come out and spoken about me. And then tried to have plausible deniability saying she was talking about a game. Just Stephen A. Smith saying a narrative that he wanted to say. And then now we have Dr. Boyce Watkins who inserted himself into it. So
well,
is there a go along, get along gang or no?
Son, when you start trending, you start getting attention paid to you. And in my generation, we'd say when somebody's half-stepping, they try to slow everybody down and put concrete out there for them to get mired in when the concrete hasn't set. But if you just step on out, wipe your feet off, you know, you can go do it. It's like dog shit, you know. When you're dealing with dog shit, you know, you got to avoid stepping in it when they try to put it in front of you, so you keep running into it. My thing with the Breakfast Club is it's poisonous, part of this agenda of pushing this narrative of LGBT. QIA plus, whatever in the hell it is right now. I don't have anything against somebody being gay. What you do in your own damn bedroom is your own damn business. But when you start trying to mess it up for everybody else,
he brought a butt up to the show. Did you see that show?
You know, that whole crew, I challenged them to a debate. I said I'd whip their behinds, but they won't take the old man on. You know, I know it'd be embarrassing. The old man whips all three of you one at a time. It's your option. Let's go someplace neutral where you don't ambush your guest and put all that rainbow shit in the background.
Mm-hmm. So you think that's an agenda that they're pushing?
Yeah, it's an agenda. I saw it when I was at UCLA 50 plus years ago. They started saying that they were going to destroy manhood. See, first you had the lesbians who hated men. You had the feminists who hated that they weren't men. You had the soy boy, beta boys, you'd call them now, who were white boys who couldn't make it in a white man's world. And you had nothing at that point until you started getting the anti-war thing developing in the late mid-60s. And they came up with this stupid idea that war is a man thing. So the way to stop war is to change the way boys are raised to men. And if you raise them like girls, so they wanted dolls and frilly stuff and were soft and emotional, that would keep boys from becoming warlike when they got to be men. So when you put that ballast into the mix, they started taking over. Now, a little slight history. I'm going to make it as quick as I can.
No, take your time.
The late 60s, color TV was bankrupting the major movie studios, Paramount, Warner Brothers, uh, MGM, and such like. And they started firing executives to bring people in to get new ideas. See, at that time, if you were an adult, it cost you 50 cents to go to your local movie theater. And every Thursday and Sunday, they had two new movies,
Man.
3 cartoons, and some features. So you could walk in anytime you wanted to
For 50 cents.
and
Wow.
see what you would be seeing, and then see the whole thing, and then sit through what you missed, or keep sitting there.
Yeah.
And no matter how big a hit the movie was, every Thursday and Sunday they changed and had 2 more. So the studios are making like 120, 250 movies a year, and they all had the same cast of stars that were in every movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what they came up with was 2 things. They had these young, bright folk that were part of this crew that is going to destroy masculinity.
Okay.
And they said, wow, we have a market. Let's go after the black folk down at the bottom who are getting neglected. They have money to spend. And if we come up with what we term blaxploitation movies, they'll come out. So the way to come out is appeal to the lowest common denominator. So let's glorify the pimps, hoes, drug dealers, thugs, bank robbers, gangsters, and everything else.
Makes sense. Mm.
And they started doing that, and they started glorifying dysfunction. And I heard them discussing this. They said, we need to start with 2 things. The black woman was the role model because she controlled her men the way they looked at it. And 2, if we start experimenting on black males and trying to see if we can take them down a notch. So instead of I'm black and I'm proud, Ungawa, black power, afro, and a beard, jeans, fatigue jacket, and ready for the revolution, they came out with Superfly in 1971-72, where this dude's got processed heads, driving a pimp mobile, selling drugs, and they make him a hero. They had Black Caesar with Fred the Hammer Williams, and that plot was he was a major drug dealer who was trying to become the only drug dealer, and he was killing and assassinating a whole lot of people. He became the hero, driving off in the limo into the sunset, smoking a big Cuban cigar. And see, they started doing that. Well, when you get this mix rolling, they also had another thing too, which was, let's take over the political parties. And you used to hear them on campus talking this nonsense all the time, where they'd get into the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and the thing was the Republican Party would work behind the scenes, or at least the ones that got in there, and in the Democratic Party they'd be the voice. So from time to time they would deliberately cause a lot of confusion. And when they caused a lot of confusion, then they could work behind the scenes and nobody would see. So slowly they ran this propaganda, and the best propaganda engine in the whole world was doing it. I mean, even Adolf Hitler and Heinrich Himmler and Goebbels for the Nazis said, we have to model what we do on the American entertainment industry because it gets in so many people's heads, and we need to copy that methodology. Now, they did this, and for 50 years, they have propaganda glorifying dysfunction. Now, if you want to see the contrast, from 1920 to 1940 is 20 years. That's the only time the Nazis had to work. This same group, using the methodology that the Nazis based theirs on, had 50 years, not 20.
Mm-hmm.
So we think in terms of their narrative with such foolish shit as toxic masculinity. That's not a word. Okay, homophobic, that's not a word. That's only 10 years old, you see. And the word, for example, for that one is heterophobia, which is the opposite, which is for several hundred years, gay folk had to deal with being lynched, mutilated, beat up, jacked up, fired, thrown in jail, ostracized, all kinds of stuff. So one of the propaganda techniques that is very effective that the Nazis knew is flip the script. Accuse your enemy of being like you or doing what you do. So they're heterophobic and they flip the script to homophobic. For example, you can find old dictionaries that got heterophobic, but they don't have homophobia in there. But now if you type it into an iPhone, heterophobia is red underlined because they don't recognize it as a word, but homophobic, they'll put up a rainbow, you get that little emoji popping up. That's the flipping of the script, all right? And when they start getting you thinking this way, toxic masculinity. See, what they call toxic masculinity is the absence, because that's where you come in, where I come in, is we're trying to deal with imposing masculinity, because masculinity is a set of standards inputted into a boy so long, so often, so hard that when he becomes a man, it is innate in his character, and that's about making where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, and ethics, where you dedicate yourself to public peace, dignity, and order, and you are a man of peace who can be violent and brave and courageous when necessary. You see, that's what men do, where the little women and children get in the lifeboat first when the damn Titanic is going down. So they try to destroy that. And by destroying it, they translating get a chance to get their freak on in legitimacy. Now, see, homosexuality is distinguished from this LGBT stuff. Now, I employed some gay folks, still got one or two on the payroll, and they look at this stuff as a cult. And if I can explain, all right, I'm straight, I'm heterosexual, but when I see Lizzo the lizard hippo with her bare, fat, flabby ass trying to twerk in public, looking like a damn harlot in front of children, see, that's not right. When I look at Cardi B, who is a street walking hoe who brags about how she used to drug her tricks so she could rob them.
Yeah, she did say
that. See, that kind of thing put up as an exemplar of heterosexuality and normalcy. That is not normal. Something's wrong with it. Okay, a homosexual who is taking care of his business and his bedroom freak is his own business is different from some damn fools with a gay pride parade with nothing on but some leather chaps and their bare asses and dicks hung out with a bunch of children looking at them. See, there is a difference. In other words, keep your business to yourself. We don't know what the hell you're up to. I remember there was Paramount, when my show was with Paramount, there was an executive vice president who was in charge of PR. And my beautiful wife at the time, now ex-wife, I can't seem to keep them all that long. But anyway, they're expensive as shit. But look, we were at a thing in New York where everybody had to go there for one of these corporate things. And she and I got on the elevator to go up to where the meeting was going to be. This VP got on, and then this flamer got on, and the VP, who was admittedly gay, he jumped up and rushed off. So somewhat later when he got up there, my wife said, "Why'd you get off?" He said, "I can't stand the flame." You know.
That's crazy, because my first cousin is gay, and he's able to he says stuff like that, and I'm like, "Yo, what you talking about?" He was like, "Man, we don't like people that act like that. You know, he's gay, but sometimes he acts like a man, and then sometimes he doesn't." He explained it to me, but you know, I really don't understand it, but I don't try to. That's still my cousin. So, well, yeah, I know he talked like what you just said. He said, "I don't like flamers."
Well, see, here's the thing I found out when I was a judge. I put together these psychologists and psychiatrists, and under Tennessee law, with a provision I lobbied for, any sentencing judge can conduct psychological or mental evaluation on anybody he sentences. So we were doing research. We found there are basically two types of homosexuals. The type that hates the opposite sex and the type that wants to be the opposite sex. And a lot of that is hooked up in self-hate. Now, see, black folk back in the 60s, we came to recognize that we had been victimized by a long period of negative imagery, so we hated ourselves. Everybody wanted to be white. Press their hair, comb their hair, that's that process. And Malcolm said that best way I've heard it, processed head equals a processed mind. But anyway, we went, I'm black and I'm proud. Now you've got this group who is deep off into personal self-hate. They hate what they are. They hate what they want to be. So they have taken a nihilistic approach and they have screwed up everything that's supposed to be of value. See, instead of being brave and courageous, it's all right to be afraid and be a coward. Instead of, well, hell, they couldn't get away with anything else but that. McFly in Back to the Future 35 years ago, what is it? He goes back in time, his daddy is there getting punked out by this bully, and where the kid comes from, this bully's still bullying daddy. So he gets daddy to screw up his nerve. Daddy busts the bully in the mouth on prom night, knocks him out, actually. When he gets back, the bully works for daddy. He's daddy's flunk. See, that stand up to a bully is part of being a man. You have to learn how to deal with that. You know, I'm gonna get my ass whipped out. I'm gonna bust this MF in his mouth. You know, and maybe the next time somebody else, he doesn't want to get busted in his mouth, even if he winds up whipping. Now, oh my God, we have to bring in the police and the teachers and the parents to stop all of this horrible bullying. Oh, it's just so awful. And then, oh my God, we have to stop this online bullying. Oh, he's going to kill himself if he turn the goddamn thing off. And you see Twitter, Facebook, Instagram are perverting the First Amendment. You can't say stuff if it makes some jackass feel uncomfortable. And then
I don't even watch TV.
Well, see, here's the thing that's bad about that. If you complain about somebody doing you that way, like on Twitter, you can say the N-word all you want. You can put child pornography, pedophilia, you can put full frontal, 3 dicks up her ass and suck it to her.
See, I'm not on Twitter. See, I don't know that.
But you can't say something like, we've got a situation where we've got some pink panty wearing fascists who are trying to subvert the First, Second, Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments and down manhood and womanhood, because Zeke Heil, this is something where we're going to have to stiff arm salute the rainbow flag and read mind Uberganger, which is my conversion. You know, and that is supposed to be something that is horribly offensive. But you can say in all you want, and you can talk about toxic masculinity or some chauvinist pig or whatever it may be. That's okay. See, because it's directed propaganda, there's a narrative. And the people that control Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're deep off into the rainbow, which is their business. But we fall for some more stupid propaganda, which is private, so they can do what they want. Well, what about the poor private guy in Colorado who, against his religious scruples, was forced to bake a cake for a gay couple he didn't even know? All right. How about when they took Trump in about 3 years ago because he was blocking these fools that were trying to troll him when he was posting, and he wisely did not go any further. He let it go to the Court of Appeals, and what happens is they said he had to unblock them because it was a public forum and these people had a right to exercise their First Amendment rights. So that's still standing, which means Twitter, Instagram, Facebook should be busted on a class action for not functioning properly as a public utility and attempting to monopolize the airways, which are licensed. They have to have a license to do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So when they take this public license, they've got an obligation to the public, and they become a public utility. Now, 150 years ago, when they started getting gas lighting and stuff in cities, these companies that were privatized to provide these services, were private companies that provided these services, started saying, we want to do some redevelopment. So we're not going to give you guys your gas because we don't like it. Well, they got declared a public utility, so they have to treat everybody doing the same way. And the analogy that some people ought to get is the phone company can't tell you what the hell to say on your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Same principles apply to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. YouTube, because they're using public airways and they have to have a license to do that broadcasting that they depend upon,
Mm-hmm.
they can't either. So,
well, they definitely do. How do they get away with it?
But you see, that's because too many people think in terms of the narrative that they've established, and another narrative which came from the other side about the sanctity of private enterprise. Now, see, that sanctity of private enterprise impacts the black community. Ever heard of this thing, pipeline, jailhouse,
prison pipeline? Yeah.
See, here's what that's about.
Okay.
People used to ask me all the time, Judge, what's wrong with the criminal justice system? Why is it so broke? Why doesn't it work? I said, well, it's working fine. It's just doing something else. You see, all of this nonsense about leave it to private enterprise to solve everything. Well, private enterprise is out to make a profit. That's what they're doing.
Right.
They're not out there to be doing good. And what happens is, due to industrial technology and computerization, a whole lot of ordinary people have been made obsolete. Now, the United States happens to be the only industrial country in the world that does not have a concerted government program to deal with changing that obsolescence of the worker who has been displaced by technology and training him to get an equal job in terms of income, doing something else or being able to do more. So we have a lot of surplus labor that is no longer necessary for the market. So labor is a commodity like wheat, corn, and cotton. And when you have a glut, you do three things: cut back production, subsidize, produce, or store the surplus.
Mm-hmm.
The surplus labor is stored in a jail cell instead of a grain silo. The subsidy is the public assistance check of one form or another. And the cutting back of production, the glorification of dysfunction, so the would-be labor units drop out, bang out, drug out, get knocked up too early, too often, develop inappropriate attitudes, lifestyles, worldviews. They don't have any vocational skills. They don't have any educational preparation. They're useless. And you have essentially another negative because the public assistance goes to the female, because in a lot of states, an able-bodied man is not eligible for any kind of public assistance except unemployment. And he has to have worked long enough to get that. And he's only entitled to so much. Meanwhile, back in the Johnson administration in the 60s, they came up with a concept that was good, the safety net, but what they wound up is having a distinctive class of women who became welfare dependent. They got bigger checks the more babies they had, and the check was not going for the babies, it was going for them.
Right.
It's like a friend of mine and I were in Nickerson Gardens out in the Los Angeles area. It was 1967, and we were recruiting for college. In those days in California, UCLA, Berkeley, Cal State, they were free. There was no tuition. There was an insurance and benefits fee. In other words, $56 a quarter. You got unlimited medical care, prescription medication, eyeglasses. You got free concert tickets, athletic events tickets. You didn't have to pay for them, but there was no tuition. Now, Ronnie Reagan screwed that up. He came in campaigning on a platform that he was going to destroy free higher education because nothing but long-haired, commie, sympathizing hippies took advantage of it. So from free education, which was an investment in the human infrastructure of the state, you switched over to this mess they have now where everybody is in hock for 10 years trying to get an education, unless you play some sport to get an athletic scholarship. And it's gotten way, way out of hand. So what happens, see, is when these kids are in a situation where the only way the money comes in is through the women, you set up a matriarchy. And hey man, like what you doing, man? Like hey man, where your bitches, man? Or me saying, young man, if the court is disposed to place you on probation, just how do you intend to sustain yourself? In other words, how do you make your living? Well, with due respect, Your Honor, like I got me 4 bitches. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. I got me 4 ladies takes good care of me. 2 of them
That's still going on now.
Got good JOBs. 1 get a crazy check. 1 on AFDC. They takes care of me.
Dang.
You know, well, what do? I smooth them out. You know, they got hard gigs. You know, so a hard life. So I make them feel good. And see, about 20 years ago, there was this thing about the thug. I can remember sitting up in the lounge in the airport in Detroit. Me and my homeboy who was traveling with me is the late Clifford Stewart, who was a hell of a man. I called him my brother. We look alike. He's just Black Belt Magazine called him the most dangerous human alive in North America. He was one of those folks. And we were reading this article by a black female PhD who was saying, ladies, get yourself a thug. They are so thrilling. You have no idea. Raw masculinity, but you can control it because you're paying the check.
Oh, yeah.
And I do all these local radio appearances or remote or direct. And they say, this is Bobby on WFOOL. This is Take Care of Your Thug Week. Call Bobby and let Bobby know if you got a thug at home. All right, we got Tamika on the line. You got you a thug, Tamika? Yeah, Bobby, I got me a thug. He's so fine.
Lord have mercy.
All right, we got Jamalina on. What you got, Jamalina? Well, yeah, Bobby, I got me a thug. He's so fine. All my friend girls, they Jay. He look just like Denzel. Oh, who is this? Lucille? Yeah, Bobby, this here Lucille. I'm white, but I likes me some thug too. They so excited. And you get this kind of glorification of stupid. And you get these young males who have no man training. And see, man training is difficult because it takes a whole lot of shit in your head for, all right, women and children in the lifeboats first, and the rest of us are gonna drown in this icy water if we don't freeze to death first. All right, ladies, get in, and you punk, get that dress off. We know who you are. You still got a beard. Get your ass out of here. See, now they have this thing where they got these trans freaks, drag queens, and they want to put on a dress and put on bras and get in the lifeboats with the women and children. So get your ass out of here, and if you don't help get them down, we're going to throw you over there and charm the sharks. So they'll go over there and eat your ass and set them out with the women and children. And then see, this coalition they put together is going to fall apart. And one of them is this, 2 of the front factors that are going to make that happen, is this pedophile thing and this drag queen thing, because the feminists have been fighting for years to get women's sports. Now, granted, it's flipped over to being a bastion for lesbianism in a lot of the female sports. But when you let these boys jump in who can't compete against the boys of the guys and for varsity, and let them compete against the girls and still whip girl ass, that upsets the paradigm. Plus, they're gonna kill one of these girls. I got a personal thing about it. Somebody's granddaughter I had last seen when she was like 10 or 11. She said, Uncle Joe. And I was in the parking lot of something like Lowe's, one of these big hardware places. And I walked over, I said, I haven't seen you in a long time. And she had her arm up like that, in a cast with a strut. I said, what happened? She said, well, I was in the martial arts. I said, yeah, your grandmother told me about that. Granddaddy too. She said, well, I got a scholarship to such and such college to do women's wrestling. Full contact wrestling. That's the new thing. So what happened? I said, well, what happened to you? She said, they made us wrestle these, and she started crying, these freaks, she said, who said they were girls. And I objected, and they told me I'd lose my scholarship if I didn't wrestle. And they told the team we'd forfeit, but we didn't. So another girl on the team got 3 cracked ribs and a fractured jaw. And I got my compound fracture of my arm, and I've had 3 operations. She started crying, said, Uncle Joe, I can't study hard because this medication jacks me up. I can't sleep because it hurts. And I just said, that's a damn shame. But you see, that's what this leads to. And toxic masculinity actually is one of the things that promotes violence. See, they try to protect these boys, and they do not know who they are because they've never had to face down a bully, never had to screw up their courage and take a stand knowing I might get my ass whipped, but I'm going to have to do what I have to do. Well, you like meat? You eat meat?
Oh, yeah, I eat bison every now and again.
Yeah, I know a bison's good.
Yeah.
Chomp into it. I like it medium rare. All right?
Yeah, I like mine sometimes medium, but mostly medium well.
Okay, well, you eat it.
Oh, yeah.
See, we're the apex predator on the planet. We kill better than any other damn thing ever been here. If they actually had a Jurassic Park, I can see if some of them escaped. The T-Rex did. I can see, yes, Lord Williams, I was out there and it was really tense, and it was me in my guide, and he took off. He was a little affrighted, but I gave him one charge, and rapidly worked the bolt and delivered another, and that is it is on my dear wall. Isn't it magnificent, see? Yeah, and you once were king of the jungle. Now the tiger is in danger, and the mother elephant in her bond with her calf, and the polar bears, and we have to save everything on the planet because we the baddest ass killers on the planet. Nothing kills like us. And what do you think is inside this beast that is the apex predator on a planet? It kills. So you have to impose masculinity so it knows when to kill. Go kill your bison when you want to eat it, or, we do it by collectivity. We have a slaughterhouse and a meat packing place, and it tastes good, and a restaurant fixes it up. Well, all that's good, but that tendency to kill is still there, and we don't have a draft, but for a long time they had one, and those guys, ordinary people that got drafted, did a whole lot of killing. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, before that, the Civil War, so you can get ordinary people and you can turn them into killers, all right? That requires a lot of social adjustment so they do not turn on themselves in an inappropriate fashion at an inappropriate time for inappropriate reasons. That's why we have criminal laws, particularly against the wrong kind of homicide, criminal versus justifiable. Now, when you take this boy and you protect him from bullies, so the parents, the police, and the schools protect him, where Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook keep him from seeing something that'll cause his stupid ass to go take himself out. then what happens is he doesn't know this beast that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this beast is still there. And under the wrong circumstances, that beast comes out and starts leering at him, and he doesn't know what to do. So you get these perverted asses that go and shoot up a school because they felt bad because they got bullied too often and don't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lack of masculinity. All
Right.
these folk in the hood that go around popping caps on everybody, doing drive-bys, see, they suffer from lack of masculinity. So
That's the same thing I told Jack.
Somebody,
Yeah.
but I grew up in Los Angeles
Mm-hmm.
and South Central, and what I found out from there later on, and when I was sentencing people or when I was defending people,
Mm-hmm.
dudes down in the hood rat, they just bitches. They only see what they are is lesbians in boys' bodies.
Mm-hmm.
The lesbian and the hood rat are raised the same way. They're raised by their mamas like girls because their mamas hate men, and the boy is gonna be a man if he got raised properly, so they hate him and raise him wrong. He winds up with a secret hate for his mom, but doesn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
He's raised as a girl. He likes pussy. The lesbian is raised as a girl. She likes pussy. If the fairy godfag waved the magic wand over the lesbian and she woke up the next morning with a dick, there would be no difference between her and your typical hood rat thug trying to play OG.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys ain't got manhood. For example, I don't know how many times this scene repeated itself over the time I was on the bench. There would be a motion to suppress a confession, right? So the police in Memphis always take the confession. So you got to see the whole thing. So counselor, defense ready for this matter? Prosecution, you ready? Madam Court Reporter, can you set up in the court's chambers in say 10 minutes, and we will take a look in camera at the video clip of this confession that we have a motion, I think, what's the file, docket number? Thank you, ma'am, blah, 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 blah. This dude, we getting ready to take a recess. And I take a recess and the lawyer walks up to ask me about something else, so I'm still watching. OG is back there talking to his homies. Yeah, man, I'm down for the cause, man. You know, like, hey, they just put this case on me, man. Like, oh, hell, man, they was trying to get me to say all kinds of shit, man. I can hear it. So I go on back. I'm watching this confession. Here's where it goes. Man, I don't want no lawyer. Sir, you really need to have an attorney. We can call one right now. You should have a lawyer. It's a serious matter. I don't want no lawyer. I just want my mama. Can you get my mama in here? Oh, well, sir, your mother can't be in here while this going on. You a grown man. I don't care. I just want my mama. Look, sir, you have a right to remain silent. I don't care. You have a right, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, Lord.
I don't care, man. That's what I'm talking about, blah. And looking for Shaw Dog and stuff.
That's crazy.
Okay, so anyway, this dude has been advised 9 times of his rights, and he wants to waive them, and he's crying all over this shit, and that's why they got these strange stains on the waiver. This fool's been crying. His snot blowing all over, running down his face, and I get out there and I said, well, let's see. We've had gentlemen that have been identified. Could you gentlemen come over here and that we're going to speak to the defendant about this, about blah, 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 on this matter about the bond, blah, 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 blah. So I'd move them over here. So, well, it seems since they have identified him, so let's move to this point. The defendant spent most of his time crying and washing tears from his face with looks like most of a fresh box of Kleenex, and mucus was running all down his nose and running all over the table. He was crying for his mother. He multiply waved write the counsel and wanted to make a statement if only his mama could be there, and the officers advised him his mother could not be present. And let's see, he also advised that the following individuals, I read the names off, were part of this armed robbery, blah, 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 that resulted in the killing of 2 people at this convenience store, which becomes felony murder, subject to the death penalty. And I say, please take those individuals into custody right now, no bond. We will review this in a bit. See, they punk out, they rat on everybody. There's no such thing as loyalty, they tell. And what's interesting is in most states under American law, you cannot convict someone on the uncorroborated statements or evidence of an accomplice. So there is one guy in there that's an OG. He just said, I don't want a damn form. Hell, I have nothing to say, and he'll write that out. I want a lawyer. And because he didn't confess, there's no case against him, because most murder cases are the hardest thing to prove because there's no witness. And damn near every time there's a murder trial, somebody shot his mouth off, usually to some woman he was trying to impress, who was some low-class woman who had a drug case he was trying to get out of, so she'd tell him. Then they got him and he punked out and told on himself. He confessed. Now, yeah, there are a lot of innocent people in the jails, but the percentages are small because this is what's going on. For the last 70 years, it's been kind of consistent. Just a little more than 2% of the people in American prisons got found guilty by a jury. 97+% pled guilty, and depending upon where you are, 84 to 87% confessed. So I've seen some innocent people.
That's crazy.
I got the youngest person in the world off death row. I got a stay of execution 23 minutes before they were going to fry him, and he was 15 plus 2 weeks at that time. I got the conviction set aside on a number of grounds, including an all-white jury. But the bottom line is that most of the people off in there, when they're talking to their lawyers, are saying, yeah, man, well, he didn't really see me. Well, how you know he was taking a smoke over there by the telephone pole if you weren't there? Well, he couldn't see me. I was in the shadows behind the dumpster. But you were there. You're trying to say you weren't there. That's a matter of proof, but you were there. And by the way, 6 of the witnesses for the state knew you from high school. 2 of them gave the police your mama's address. So you're trying to tell your mama and everybody that they're lying, trying to put a case on you. See, so you get this. But when you get these people back in this system where they get put in jail, some people get it wrong. They just want that free labor, that slavery. No, it's not. See, they don't want you to work, so there's no rehabilitation. If you work in the joint other than to have make work to keep you out of mischief by pressing license plates, if they rehabilitate you, when they let you out, you reglut the market. So what happens is when you're clowning around acting a damn fool, you cause your community to be chaotic, so your community cannot engage in collective self-help through the political process. And what happens is you take that community out of the loop. Now, there's still some entry-level jobs, but part of that cutting back of the labor by getting into somebody's head, man, fuck that shit. I ain't flipping no burgers at no Mickey D's. I got my bitches and hoes take care of me. What the fuck I'm gonna be up there doing that shit? I got plenty of merchandise to move. Motherfuckers love that shit. Got lots of gold to be worn, ladies to be played. Damn that.
Yeah.
And then you get this other thing that's going around, bros before hoes.
I don't understand that.
That's because they ain't getting pussy. Now, see, let me say something about this. I played football in high school and college. to understand that. But I did have some sense. And see, you made a career of basketball because you actually were good at it. But you see, there's a whole lot of brothers can't shoot a goddamn basket and they'd be out there sweating, playing instead of getting their heads in their books. And meanwhile, their girlfriends are frustrated. So I go fuck the girlfriends while they're out there getting sweaty. Yeah, got a lot of pussy, you know, goddamn. And I ain't gonna lie, I've devoted all of my adult life to this pussy. Damn, you know? But when you do that, you gotta be able to hang. So that means you gotta get prepped so you can take care of some business so you can be about something other than trying to simp off of somebody.
Right.
So, you know.
Man, that's crazy. You're a funny judge. You're the funniest judge I ever seen.
Well, you know.
Really.
When you get that dignified yes, and now we're prepared to proceed to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can play that. You have to have versatility. You know, when I'm judge, I'm fair and impartial, neutral and detached, you know, blind justice, except I ain't no bitch with one tit out, the bees and needy, and ain't stepping on no goddamn snake. But, you know, justice is blind, fair, and impartial.
Yeah.
Which has some interesting consequences that have results that people do not anticipate. I'll tell you one of those about Martin Luther King's assassination, which was not by James Earl Ray, but was ordered and concurred in by J. Edgar Hoover, and the FBI supplied the murder weapon and the ammunition. Whoa. And the shot came from the fire station, not the flop house, not the bushes. It was a two-man team. They recruited them from the Marine Corps sniping school at Quantico, Virginia, where the FBI has a training academy. Now, I'll get back to that, but you see, they hadn't expected me doing what I did to be neutral, fair, and impartial. They thought when the case got in front of me on random rotational assignments,